Hey, what's up everybody? It's the Crypto Ginger here. Just wanted to quickly go over some of the more recent news. And of course, if you've been paying attention to what's happening with cryptocurrencies, you've been seeing that Bitcoin has not only remained dominant as far as the top performing cryptocurrencies out there, but it's quite possibly found a new support line at $13,000. Now, this right here is still something that's remained to be seen when it comes to how it will hold this right here, this particular position. But we are seeing quite a bit of support here again at the $13,000 mark. And according to quite a bit of sources, news articles out there, it is actually, being something that's focused on as a more attractive buy right now, especially for the bulls. So very, very good moves when it comes to what's happening for Bitcoin. And I say that in regards to all the altcoins just simply because whatever happens when it comes to bull runs for Bitcoin usually trickles down to all your other altcoins below it. So this can only be a good thing for everything else below Bitcoin once everything is said and done. But of course, who knows how long and how far a bull run will actually last for Bitcoin. It could actually go on for quite some time, especially with a lot of the experts and TAs, people that do technical analysis on charts. Their speculation is that we could see a bull run that lasts all the way up to $30,000 for a Bitcoin. If that is the case, obviously your altcoins are going to see some positive action from that, but it will only be until Bitcoin has remained a dominant cryptocurrency for quite some time, hitting a dominant mark of roughly around, I would imagine, 70% before we start seeing a lot of money flooding back into the altcoins. A very similar experience took place, obviously, in 2017 and the beginning of 2018. That's definitely something that has been expressed not only on this channel, but all over the place. You can actually go back and do a little bit of historical research on that. But nonetheless, $13,000 Bitcoin is looking very attractive for bulls right now. We're also seeing this right here be something that is actually focused on when it comes to the idea of stocks. And of course, we're seeing in the way of stocks, your traditional stocks, they're actually dropping in price. So some of that money could be flooding into the market. We're also seeing, other experts out there specifying that a $14,000 Bitcoin can actually be something we'll see very, very soon. And if we start seeing some more resistance being broken, absolutely, guys, we'll be seeing a $14,000 Bitcoin very soon. Now, my guess is, and of course, this is all really based off of speculation, that if we happen to break $14,000 with Bitcoin, it's quite possible we're going to see that thing shoot off into roughly around $20,000, getting very close to its all-time high. And at that point in time, guys, the FOMO is probably going to kick in quite heavily. So you got to keep all of that information in mind, guys, because there's a substantial amount of people waiting to see Bitcoin hit its all-time highs. Really, a lot of people waiting to see a lot of their cryptocurrencies hit their all-time highs again. But Bitcoin especially, because again, whatever happens with Bitcoin is usually something you'll see follow through with all the other altcoins. So something to keep in mind, guys. A lot of people on Twitter that are very positive about this, as a matter of fact. Here we have Josh Rager, who is definitely, I would suggest, a prominent follow on Twitter. Very, very outspoken when it comes to what's happening with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general, but mostly I would imagine he is focused primarily on Bitcoin. And of course, if you happen to go to his page, you can easily see that he has quite a bit of involvement when it comes to not only the crypto Twitter community, but of course, again, he has quite a bit of involvement when it comes to cryptocurrencies there. But he posted this information here. It's talking about the monthly close when it comes to seeing Bitcoin hit roughly around $13,863, which was actually something that took place back, I believe, roughly around November of 2017. So right before we actually started seeing that major bull run that took place in December of 2017, we saw, Bitcoin hitting roughly around $13,000. So what I'm gathering from this particular post that he's showing here is that the sentiment is right back where it was back in November 2017, and it's quite possible that we could see a major bull run take place, guys. Think about that. November 2017, we saw Bitcoin hit this price point. We also saw, a substantial amount of money flooding into the market following that. And then, of course, led to that major bear trend market that we actually dealt with and we're still currently dealing with, I would imagine, when it comes to, a lot of people still waiting for cryptocurrencies to hit all-time highs again. But nonetheless, we are seeing some very, very positive movement happening with cryptocurrencies, the cryptocurrency community on Twitter. They're definitely getting rambunctious and waiting to see Bitcoin Bitcoin hit all-time highs again. So who knows exactly what's going to take place. I definitely feel like we are seeing some very positive traction happening here, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the Bitcoin price point and what you think is going to happen with Bitcoin when it comes to either going, in a very bullish manner or even a bearish manner. Definitely let me know in the comments section. If you are someone who is focused on seeing all-time highs again, let me know what your predictions are. I would love to see that. And of course, we can't really be too far off when it comes to seeing some sort of major bull run. I mean, we're already seeing that taking place with a lot of the cryptocurrencies, but more importantly, Bitcoin. And it is the gateway for all the other cryptocurrencies. So it could be one of those things that actually brings in a lot more retail investors, especially if we get a substantial amount of investors from the institutional side of things piling their money into the cryptocurrency market. So a lot of news is going to be coming out. My guess is that we're going to want to keep our eyes and ears open for that. Outside of that, guys, a couple other things I wanted to quickly go over as well. Now, this next bit of news is kind of mixed with some of the more controversial news you've been hearing in the last couple of days. We'll get into that here in just a second. What I want to do is give a huge shout out to XRP Crypto Wolf for his involvement and his engagement with the XRP community. And of course, those who are YouTube content creators. This guy really is very good about providing a lot of people with some of the news that was already being, spoken out there, and just making sure that we're all on the same page. So again, huge shout out to XRP Crypto Wolf. Give him a follow. What he posted here was an article talking about how insiders say Goldman Sachs is setting up its sights on launching something akin to JPM coin. Goldman set to go further with new digital asset project. Goldman Sachs launched new digital asset team and will explore new digital asset opportunities. And of course, this is coming from an article from the blockcrypto.com speaking on behalf of this. I think that XRP Crypto Wolf summed it up very nicely when it comes to what, again, Goldman Sachs is doing. Here's where the controversy comes in when it comes to some of the news you might have been hearing in regards to JP Morgan. And of course, we're seeing Goldman Sachs wanting to do something very similar to JPM's coin. But if you guys have been paying attention to the news, especially the political side of things, JP Morgan might be in more trouble than they actually wanted to be in. As a matter of fact, a quick look at some of that news here. Now, I just want to quickly segue that information into this right here, where we see that the U.S. Customs just seized a ship owned by JP Morgan after authorities found $1 billion worth of drugs on it. Now, I'm bringing this up because we understand a lot of things that have taken place with JP Morgan in the recent news, as far as, for example, the silver manipulation that took place last year, where they actually were convicted. Now, only one person, I believe, was convicted and went to prison for this, but of course, he had actually spoken on behalf that his managers, such as Jamie Dimon, were all part of the market manipulation when it comes to silver. So there is still that bad taste being left in investors' mouth. Of course, JP Morgan, I would imagine, tried to redeem themselves by creating the JPM coin for cryptocurrencies, but not a lot took off when it comes to that right there. It was like basically very short-winded news. And of course, now we're getting this right here from JP Morgan having $1 billion worth of drugs being seized from a ship. This is absolutely huge when it comes to those investors that are part of JP Morgan. And you mix this information up with what I just talked about with Goldman Sachs creating their own version of cryptocurrency akin to the JPM coin. And then you mix that up with the information I talked about in my last video, where we had Christine Lagarde, who was the head of the IMF, now the head of the European Central Bank, and her being outspoken in regards to the fintech technology, and of course banks merging into this and saying that if you don't adapt to this right here, you will definitely be left behind. This is absolutely huge, guys, because we're going to start seeing the diminishing of all these banks that do not actually hop on board with cryptocurrencies and this digital technology here, right alongside of these big banks that have been actually dealing with different types of money laundering. For example, Deutsche Bank. Now we actually have JP Morgan here having $1 billion worth of drugs being seized. I mean, come on, that right there cannot be something good for those investors of these banks here. So if that is the case, are we going to start seeing major investors moving their capital and wealth from JP Morgan over to the likes of Goldman Sachs? That could most certainly happen. So a lot of news is taking place, especially in the politics side of things. And I think that all this news and all this information when it comes to politics versus cryptocurrencies is a merging world, guys. It definitely has an effect on each other. So A lot to keep your eyes and ears out open for when it comes to what's happening. And of course, if I hear anything about this as well that might be updated news, I will most certainly be able to alert you guys through my videos here. But something that guys should keep your eyes and ears open for when it comes to what's happening and how this could affect the market there. So let me know what you guys think about this information. A couple of things I want to go over as well. Now, this is information that I wanted to make sure that we're all being iterated on, because a lot of advancements are happening when it comes to cryptocurrencies in general. And of course, a lot of the banks all over the globe are looking at the fintech side of things and also cryptocurrencies in general, just to see if this is something that would work when it comes to merging their old banking system into this new digital technology system. And of course, seeing if this is actually going to be allowing for faster payments across the borders. Now, interesting enough, we've been hearing a lot of talking points when it comes to India banning cryptocurrencies in their country, and of course not really having a strong focal point on cryptocurrencies in general. But we got reference from a YouTube creator called Alex Cobb. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. If you are, definitely give him a follow. Of course, spread his name out there, because he is a very, very knowledgeable person when it comes to XRP and Ripple. A very young guy when it comes to this XRP community as well, but very knowledgeable. And he was speaking out about how Ripple had confirmed that Xcurrent is being implemented all over the banks in India, which is fantastic news, because if you are familiar with Xcurrent 4.0, then that right there is basically the upgrade of Xcurrent for any of these banks. It gives these banks the opportunity to utilize Ripple's technology, at least on the messaging side of things. They can actually transfer messaging back and forth at a substantial speed. Obviously, so we understand what's happening with the protocols that Ripple building, and of course we even understand XRapid when it comes to the internet of value, transferring value back and forth. That is going to be your fastest way to do that. Well, Xcurrent 4.0 will give these banks an opportunity to kind of merge into XRapid, possibly without even knowing, just simply wanting to save money. So of course, seeing that all the banks in India are implementing Xcurrent right now, giving them the availability to move up to Xcurrent 4.0, which again is incorporating XRapid in some form or fashion, is fantastic news. And of course, this right here will be something that I would imagine we want to keep our eyes and ears open for as well when it comes to any type of development happening in India, because of their use case of taking advantage of Xcurrent, again, getting themselves prepped and ready for the bigger picture, which is XRapid and the ability to transfer large amounts of value back and forth when it comes to cross-border payments and solutions. So again, give Alex Cobb a follow. Check out this article here. It's part of his page, the XRP Daily. Very good read here, and it gives you kind of a brief understanding of what's taking place in India. Again, very, very controversial when it comes to their stance on cryptocurrencies. Now we're seeing Xcurrent being implemented in all the banks in India. So fantastic news there. Thanks again, Alex, for that. And of course, give him a like and a follow. Now, this is something I definitely want to make sure I'm giving credit to, which is Crypto Erie. You can find her at Sento Sumosaba. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly there, Crypto Erie. She is most certainly a follow when it comes to being part of the XRP community. She's got her own YouTube channel. And she was speaking out in regards to this thing called DMM Exchange in Japan. They're just announcing that they will list XRP later today and pair it to the yen. And of course, she follows this by stating that the stage is now set for some serious competition to grab the XRP retail investor. She also does a little bit more of a talking point on her channel regarding this. My suggestion, give her a follow for sure. Go on to YouTube, watch her video about this, but I want to just make sure that I'm kind of piggybacking a little bit of her information off to at least my audience here. You guys can spread the word just as well. And also give her a follow so you are a part of her community. But to see that this right here is spreading when it comes to what's happening for the growth of XRP, the growth of what Ripple's trying to perform here when it comes to spreading this information, these technologies out on a global scale is fantastic. And now we're seeing, again, DMM Exchange in Japan announcing they will list XRP later today to pair it to the yen is fantastic news. This is just another way for these people to get onboarded with XRP in Japan. If you have any understanding what's happening in Japan, guys, it's absolutely huge. They are definitely going to be one of the more focal points when it comes to what's happening for Ripple and the expansion, and of course, the growth of XRP. So that right there, the Asian demographic, that particular region, could be where we see a lot of this explode for XRP. And my guess is if that happens, it's going to become a global situation there for sure, because a lot of people are going to want to make sure that they're keeping up with what is happening in Japan. So thank you again, Crypto Airy, for this. And again, huge shout out to you. I love your channel, by the way. Give her a follow. And of course, guys, keep your eyes and ears out for what's happening for XRP. I think a lot of things are really being set in place here. And I think that she says it perfectly. Again, the stage is now set for some serious competition to grab the XRP retail investor. So again, thank you for that, guys. One more thing I want to quickly show you guys, and this right here is just something that you can use as far as your imagination is concerned. And lastly, I wanted to end on this particular idea here that I've heard plenty of times before, and I think it's translated very well when it comes to what's happening for XRP and even Ripple, the company. This is actually brought to you by someone in the XRP community named Toronto Ripple XRP Community. You can find them at Toronto XRP. They basically posted this saying that Ripple is the soil, XRP is the plant, and now, of course, consider this bamboo idea as far as XRP is concerned. When year 1 takes place, there's no growth for the bamboo. When year 2 takes place, there's still no visible growth. How about year 3? Well, there's still some growth occurring underground for sure. Year 4, we see a small sign of growth when it happens to be, the bamboo coming above the ground. And it's only at year 5 that we see 70 plus feet in 6 weeks. Now, the reason why they're specifying this right here is because once XRP takes off, it will take off, and it probably won't stop until we get to a point where all the investors that are necessary to be involved with XRP and Ripple are going to be there. And that's where we're going to see this thing take off. It's going to shoot straight up. And of course, at that point in time, that's when I believe people are going to say, when moon, oh, it's already there. This idea that we're going to see a substantial amount of burst coming from XRP just simply because of what's happening underneath the soil, the development with Ripple, the company, is going to be absolutely huge. And that's the reason why, as an early adopter of XRP, we are all sitting here on the sidelines just waiting, but we have to be patient because we are currently in these particular year marks where we're seeing that growth now popping out of the soil. But the moment that it actually starts shooting up there, guys, it is going to go crazy. And it's very possible we can see a very parabolic move for XRP. That definitely is something we saw back in 2017, leading right at the very beginning of January 2018, before we had that bear market. Again, XRP is usually the last to grow, but it grows parabolically and, of course, exponentially. So very, very good representation here when it comes to, again, what we're seeing for Ripple and XRP, and actually considering it just like that bamboo growth there. So thank you for that, Toronto Ripple XRP. Definitely give him a follow. And of course, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this channel here. Be on the lookout for new news, if you will. And of course, I'm going to try to get as many videos populated as I possibly can. A lot of things are ramping up and happening this week. And of course, I think it's going to lead into hopefully a very, very nice bull market, a bull rally taking place. Even if it happens to be Bitcoin first, which we all know is going to be the case, it's still going to be good for the entire environment, the entire ecosystem. And anybody who's early adopters, you might start seeing some gains from this. Outside of that, guys, thanks again for watching. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. And of course, thank you again for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.